We got a special guest today, Jared, man. This is my dog. And you know why she my dog? Because one, she hailed from the greatest city of all time, Omaha, Nebraska, and she attended the greatest high school of all time, Miss Georgia Chambers. How are
Hi,
you
guys.
today?
What an introduction! Because I used to always make fun of the sports reporters that had to cover weather because I was like, that sucks. Like that'll never be me. Atlanta got snow right before my birthday. Guess who they said? Me. I said karma is. He literally was like, "Get your lips done." And I go,
that is nuts.
I thought you were gonna say Lil Bro was gonna get behind the camera.
Oh, trust me, that is this one man was like plugging his mixtape. I was like, sir, nobody cares.
Hey,
like
free marketing.
I'm like, it's not like a bomb. Like it's not gonna go off. They're like, can I was like, sure, you can hold it if you want. You haven't told me something, and I was like,
yeah, some breaking news.
Saving it for the pod. So.
Welcome to another episode of the Going with the Flow podcast. I'm your co-host Jordan Flowers, aka J Flow, and I'm here with the king of not only just St. Louis, the king of Quincy, Mr. Jared Williams. How we doing today, brother?
King of Quincy's crazy. Nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that at all.
No, we doing that smut on your name. You and BJ are BJ and Mel. Y'all the Three Musketeers. We're gonna throw y'all
BJ gonna have
statues up there, though.
BJ gonna have a statue.
I told him that. And he in the commercial too, by the way. He in the commercial, bro. He in the commercial with Quincy, but yeah, man. He the what's name? But hey, BJ, when you see this, don't cut this out. But we got a special guest. We got a special guest today, Jared, man. This is my dog. And you know why she my dog? Because one, she hailed from the greatest city of all time, Omaha, Nebraska, and she attended the greatest high school of all time, Omaha Central High School, Champ High, baby. Don't want to do that. Chill out, bro. Chill out. She also graduated. You know what, bro? We're going to have that conversation another time. But again, bro, she had graduated from Omaha Central High School, graduated from the University of Georgia, Grady's College of Journalism and Mass Communication. She is currently a sports reporter for the Falcons at Fox 5. And, bro, I think she our first big-time guest in terms of, bro, she won an Emmy, dog. You know anybody that won an Emmy, bro?
I don't know.
Man, I ain't not. And we ain't winning one either. How we going, bro? But she won an Emmy for bro, we're not winning one. We're not winning, but I want to introduce this stage. Bro, I want to introduce this stage, bro. I'm not doing this with you, bro. I want to introduce this stage, our guest, dog. She is a dear friend of mine, and she is such a dope individual. Again, from the great city of Omaha, Nebraska, Miss Georgia Chambers. How are you today?
What an introduction. I feel like y'all could win an Emmy. Don't say you can't. I think you could.
We winning that Emmy. I'm taking that motherfucker if I have to. Like
you have to manifest it.
Oh my God.
I just want to know where's Omaha shit coming from. That's what I want to know. What makes Omaha great? We're gonna talk about this.
That could be a whole
Georgia,
podcast.
Go ahead.
I love Omaha.
Go ahead.
People, okay. Listen, going to Georgia, people are like, what's in Nebraska? One, I'm just gonna say it. People didn't think, like when I went to Georgia, the number one question was, are there Black people in Nebraska? And I was like,
that is crazy.
I was like, why is this your first question? I was like, yeah. I was like, Central is very diverse, and they didn't believe me. And they're like, well, y'all don't have a hood in Nebraska. I'm like, I was like, I don't know how to answer this question. And then they were like, what else do you have other than corn? A lot. Omaha steaks are great. College World Series is a blast. And they're like, okay, what do you have outside of that wheat? Yeah, we have cattle, of course. The steakhouses are going to be amazing.
Number one zoo in the world. See?
I think like San Diego might be beating it out.
I ain't gonna lie, no,
it's
St.
top.
Louis like that. I'm not even gonna lie. We're gonna shut that down right now.
It's not even St. Louis is not close to Omaha. Not even. No. It's not even. Go look it up yourself.
I die about my city.
I'll look it up
I die about my city, man.
I'm not.
Well, I love that for you.
Oh
Me and Jordan feel the same about Omaha. I tell all my friends, if you visit Omaha, you would fall in love.
I'll go one time. That's it.
For sure.
Okay, let's do a trip.
One time. Let's go one time.
Yeah, man. He was supposed to come up for CWS, but that's conversation for another day, man. Let's get into the interview, dog. bro, we're already on the topic of origins, man. And you hailing from Omaha, we kind of got a lot of commonalities, and not only just our personality, but the type of people we are in the Midwest. I think Midwest over everybody in terms of, again, just our personality and how we treat people and our humanity. But let's start again with your origins. You have like a common interest with me in journalism, production, and
Mhm.
writing, right? And all those things that fall under that umbrella. So, and people think I'm a little insane when I tell them how much I enjoy reading, writing, and producing. But I wanted to ask you, like, what got you interested in broadcast journalism, and how did you kind of develop and nurture this passion for sports, in particular for football?
Yeah, so it's funny. The first time I was in front of a camera was I went to Buffett for middle school, and they had like a broadcasting class. And I remember we produced our own show. And looking back at it, I hope that's not still on the internet, because I remember Austin Tuttle, you know him, he was monotone as heck,
Yep.
being like, "This is your morning news. Like, this is for lunch." And we thought we were eating. We're like, "Yeah, this is so good." Like, we were so proud of ourselves. But that just exposed me to what it would be like to produce something. And I was like, "Oh, it's cool to have your name behind something, and work with a team and see it come to life." So in high school, I did the print side of things. So I did journalism, and I was like the editor in chief of our newspaper. And I liked it, but I just felt like something was missing. So when I went to UGA, I knew I wanted to do journalism, but I didn't know if I wanted to do news or sports. And everything that I did was tied to sports. I worked with Georgia football and recruiting. I did Relay for Life, but I was the athletic liaison. Everything that I like had a passion for was sports, and then still journalism. So I did the sports media certificate, and I remember doing an intro class, and I just fell in love. So I remember talking to my dad, who wanted me to do business. Jordan knows my dad. Like, he's very by the
Yeah.
book. And he was like, "I don't know anybody in journalism. Like, I can't help you." And I said, "Great, I can figure it out." So I chose sports, and I haven't looked back. So I feel like Omaha introduced me to journalism and the professors, teachers that I had there, but it was really UGA and that sports media certificate that shaped me into the journalist that I am today.
So I got a question. Did you know Georgia, going to the University of Georgia, now lives in Atlanta, Georgia? Did you do that on purpose? Or
So
did you
that's the tea. Is I got so tired of explaining myself. Like, people would literally come up to me at UGA. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Georgia from Georgia, who goes to Georgia?" And I got so tired of explaining myself. I was like, "Isn't that crazy?" Because as soon as I said, "Actually, I'm from Nebraska," people's face was like they were like, I was like, "I know, it makes no sense." So I joke, though, everywhere I go, my name's just going to get longer. So I'm like, Georgia from Nebraska. When I was in Alabama working, Georgia from Nebraska and Alabama. Now I'm back in Georgia. So we'll just add a state, like, wherever I go. But
Hey, it's cool.
my dad named me after the football team. He won't admit it, but he did. So go Dogs. Go Dogs.
Oh my God, that's the first one. We're gonna put a counter on her today, man. How
He
many times she
wrote
said
he
"Go
wrote
Dogs"? Right?
Jordan. He wrote a letter to
He
UGA
did.
for Jordan Flowers to try and get him on the
Shout
football
out
team.
to
Shout out to
And
shout
that's
out to
Randall.
Randall,
love.
man. Shout out to
That's
Randall,
Randall,
love.
dog.
That's
Randall,
love.
yeah, Randall
That's
and Jordan.
love.
That's
No, that's real. That been a waste of a spot, but that's love. I love.
man, fact. I'm not dealing with. You see what I got to deal with on a daily basis with him. You see what I got to
Listen,
deal with,
I'm in the
man.
middle to just keep the peace, I feel like.
I appreciate it. I
He get
appreciate it.
on.
But yeah, you spent a lot of time with not only in the classroom, but you also spent a good amount of time with the football team. So talk about a little bit about that experience. Obviously you were able to meet some of your lifelong friends, Amber and Molly and all those things, but you were also there during like the golden age and the coming out kind of party for Georgia with Kirby Smart coming down there, obviously having Dan Lanning down there as well. Talk about that experience, how you kind of soaked up just being around like that program and like the heights that it reached. You were able to see it kind of grow into what it is today.
I feel like the biggest thing that I took away from that experience was seeing how football operates behind closed doors. Because, of course, you have the game day, like, everybody loves what happens on the field, but there's so much that goes into it in terms of recruiting and trying to get those players to come to Georgia. And obviously that's changed with NIL. So that was, I'm pre-NIL, so my experience is obviously probably a lot different than what's happening now. But I just remember the hours we would put in of, doing mail outs for birthdays, or, making them feel welcome when they came, like official visits. I'd remember like we would have days filled with activities, whether it's like taking them to nice dinners, making sure we're taking time to get to know their families, like making them feel welcome so that, these moms could see their sons having a home at UGA. I feel like that was the most important thing. But there's so many fun memories of like, we turned Sanford Stadium into like Top Golf. Like I remember Nolan Smith trying to swing a golf club, and I think Nolan was pretty good. I think there was a D lineman or something almost lost the club. Like there's some that it's like, stick to football, y'all can't.
He's too slow. He can't.
Yeah, you like the club looked like this big in his hands. I was like, yeah, that. But so it's just like being able to build those relationships too with the coaches. Because even though I didn't go into recruiting, Sam Pittman, I used to go into his office, and I remember like at the time, like I was going for like to be an orientation leader, and I remember sitting in his office and I was like, I don't know, like I have an interview today, and he like gave me like a game speech, and I felt like I was one of his O-linemen. I was like, Coach, I'm ready to go. Like it's time to attack the day. Yes, sir. Like I literally was like, wow, this is what it feels like. Like he was like, you got this. Like go in there. Like da-da-da. I was like, yes, sir.
She was like, let's go.
And it's like even to this day, like when I go to cover Georgia games, like I'll see Coach Scott, who coaches D-line, and he'll wave to me. I had a good relationship with Del McGee, who now is the head coach for Georgia State. So it's so important developing those relationships, because even though I don't work in recruiting, you never know. It just pays off to be nice. And I feel like that was taught in the Midwest, like really just being a genuine person. I learned that by being raised in the Midwest. They say Southern hospitality, but sometimes people say one thing and mean another. So I feel like the Midwest people.
Yeah, we know how it is down there. We know how it is down there.
It hasn't changed me. I'm still a Midwestern girl at heart. So
no, that's dope. Especially with that Midwest, it's like there's just the different types of roots, and there's the different type of like a mentality too, where like when you leave and people almost like, I was like, why do y'all work so hard, or why do you do this? And it's kind of like, when you're from an area, it's like you love it, you got love for it, but you don't want to be there forever. So I guess kind of like where I'm leading this into is like, you mentioned that in middle school, you kind of got into like reporting a little bit, got in your bag a little bit with that. What were some of like your influences, I guess, that kept like sparking your interest to kind of like keep going with it and wanting to continue to pursue a career in this?
I really think it boiled down to seeing my dad came from nothing. So he was a self-made man. And I looked at him, and I had always put him on a pedestal. And I knew that I wanted to make a name for myself, like my dad did for himself. And I was very grateful for my parents, because they wanted me to have a better life than what they had. But I didn't want my dad to necessarily hand me it. I wanted to work for it. So when he had told me, I don't know anybody in journalism, like I could get you a job on Wall Street, I was like, that's your dream. That's not mine. So I really was like, I'm going to do what he did in school, but for journalism, and I'm going to see how far I can take it. So I feel like I looked up to him, and I appreciated the hustle, because his job is what took us to Nebraska. My mom, Jordan will tell you, my mom is a Southern woman through and through. She hated Nebraska. She hated it. Like, imagine the polar opposite of me, and that's my mom. Like blonde, like curly,
that's still my dog,
hair. No, I love
Southern
her.
Belle. She's a Southern Belle.
Like, I would in high school, I would take 10 minutes to get ready. Cheryl takes 3. And I'm like, girl, like we gotta go. She's like, you're looking like that today? I'm like, and like we butted heads in high school. We're better now. But yeah. So
hey, shout out to moms, man.
Shout out to moms. If you're watching
Cheryl,
this,
that's my dog.
I love you. She's great. But so yeah, that took us to Nebraska. So I just kind of knew, I was like, my job might take me elsewhere. When I was in Huntsville, Alabama, I didn't even know Huntsville existed. Sorry, but I was willing to do it for the career. No shade.
Hey, but that's real though, and that's perseverance though. Like everybody wants that big city mentality, but like going to a small city and knowing what the bigger picture is, that shows a lot about your character, and that's real and it's hard. So I mess with that. I rock with that.
Yeah, and we'll get into your time at Huntsville, covering the trash pandas. We'll get into that a little bit later, man. But yeah, I was aware of that baseball team down there. But you've had like a tremendous amount of things that you've accomplished and accolades over the last couple of years. And like you said, you spent that time down at UGA. But also knowing this, coming into this field, you know that you're kind of set up not necessarily for success. You kind of like behind the eight ball in terms of coming into a male dominated field, right? And there's so many hurdles for women to overcome in your field, like stereotypes, the online trolling, talking about, y'all might not have as much knowledge as a male on the sport or whatever the case may be, perception, appearance, all those other things. So with all these factors that could have dissuaded you from pursuing a career in sports broadcasting, what gave you that courage and that confidence to ultimately say, I'm gonna go for it anyway?
I feel like, Jordan, my answer to that question is similar. Like in this way, we're very similar. Is if you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna do it. So I feel like I saw these obstacles as a challenge, but not as a closed door. So like I knew it was gonna be, a mountain for me to climb, but I never saw it as like, oh, this is going to be impossible. And I think another reason why I felt so confident in that is I had so many amazing women that came before me that paved the way. So, I've always looked up to Maria Taylor, Laura Rutledge, like all these women in sports that have done such a fantastic job that encouraged me to get in this business. And it made me like, it reassured me that I could be successful if I did my job and I worked hard. So, but of course there's going to be adversity that I face. Like, there was a time that my boss, a previous boss of mine, had told me I had filled in for him. And so I thought, he was calling to give me feedback. And he was like, something that could really take you to the next level. And I'm like, let me hear it. Like, what's the secret sauce? Right. And he literally was like, get your lips done. And I go,
that is nuts.
No, that's crazy.
I literally, it was like, this was on the phone. And so I was just like, I do have small lips. I get it. Okay. But I was like, this man is really telling me to get my lips done. And so I really wanted to be like, fix your hairline and I'll fix my lips. But I was like, he's my boss at the end of the day. So let me not. But
yeah.
Flag on the play. That was foul. But literally, I was like, because
man.
At the end of the day, you're not telling a man to part his hair the other way or go blonder or do this or do that. Like, yes, it's a visual medium, so you have to care about what you look like. But I was just so upset too, because I was like, this is somebody that I care for and look up to, and you're telling me to get my lips done. So of course, like for a short time I was insecure because I'm looking at my lips and I'm like, dang, like, my upper lip does go away a little bit when I talk, but I'm like, I want somebody to watch me because they care about how I'm breaking down the game, not for what I'm wearing or what my lips look like, or like, I've never gotten Botox. I've never done any of that. I did end up getting filler. And I just remember looking at myself, I'm like, this isn't me. So there's no filler in these anymore. But yeah, I just remember and that to me was like the first time I had faced, but I know it won't be the last. Like that was something that I was like, unfortunately, this is things I'm going to have to deal with being a woman in this field, but we're just not going to let it deter me.
And that's like the unfortunate part of like ignorance. I mean, ignorance being such a bliss thing where like, he probably thought him doing that, he was like, I'm really about to like take her off. Like, I'm really giving her that good advice. Whereas like, bro, that was like some messed up shit that you just said. And like, I feel like the unfortunate part where like you see women that they work so hard, not so much to like be any type of anything. They just want to do their job and do it well and do it at a high level to where like he almost should have asked himself, like, so am I telling a guy that he needs to lose weight or something like that when he's on the camera? It's just like, it's just funny how that didn't register in his mind. But like, I appreciate you where like you kind of like took it in to where like, say it's something about society, you listen still. Even though like you didn't like it, you listened to where you were able to register it where it'd be like, okay, I'm not doing that, but what can I do to give me that edge, to give me that thing? So like for me, my question is, what are some things that you kind of do in your day-to-day that kind of give you that edge to go in? Because dealing with like what you do, I feel like it's a little bit nerve-wracking. It's a little bit of all these things. So how do you kind of give yourself that edge?
I feel like in this business, it's all about reps, right? Like I'll tell this story and Jordan will know exactly what I'm talking about. So when I was in Huntsville, it was like so Friday Night Lights, we would have, like, I would have multiple live shots. So I'd like be live in the 4, 5, 6, and then would shoot the game, do something for 10. And the first year I had to do it all myself. Like I did not have a cameraman. Like I was setting it up myself, like getting everything ready, whatever. And I wanted to do something creative, right? So I had a cup of lemonade. And I think the coach had said, when life gives you lemons, it is. Because that's not predatory. Listen, it's Go Dogs over here. Okay, that is actually sacrilegious. That's crazy. I covered an Ole Miss game, and they gave me a cup. Gosh, sue me. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna. And so the coach, I think they sucked or something. So I was like, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. I think the coach had said that. But I was so nervous. I was like, when life gives you lemons, and I shook so bad. And I literally, after the live hit, looked next to me because there was a guy from another station. I was like, how bad did I shake? He was like, he couldn't tell me. He was like, it wasn't bad. You're fine. I go back. My boss had it pulled up. He goes, come here. Everybody was standing around and he played it, reversed it, played it again. He goes, literally everybody was laughing. I was mortified. I can laugh at it now, but I show like young students this. Like when I go speak, I'm like, this was me. And I still made it to Atlanta. I've won an Emmy. Like I'm okay. But I feel like you have to be okay with being in a place. Like you have to be in a place that, I'm not saying I wanted to mess up, but they give you grace for learning and building your identity, because this business is all about really your brand. So you have to take the time to really carve out your niche and take the time to figure out who you want to be. Because I think the biggest thing too is, in the beginning, I tried so hard to be a Laura Rutledge or a Maria Taylor, but then I realized I was like, I'm going to be Georgia Chambers. So that was in Huntsville that I really figured out who that was. And I'm still doing that. Like, I don't know everything yet. Like, I'm not saying I got it all figured out. Like, my career's still in the works. So I just feel like that those beginning stages are about having the slip ups and moving on from it.
That's real. That's real.
Absolutely. And I want to stick on the Huntsville thing, because one of the things that we talk about here is like there's like those kind of like those stuck points or those times, especially as a young professional, where we're trying to figure out what's our next move, right? And I know me and you had a lot of conversation at that particular point in time. I knew I was going back to school, so I knew that was the plan. And you were particularly looking for a job, and I knew you're a very high achiever. That's why we get along really well. Is like, bro, I see myself here, and I want to be there now. Like that's always been your thing. But for the people, I think now that we kind of in this space where everybody opinion wants to be, voiced, and we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard. And I think one of the things that people see a lot when it comes to media or sports, whether it's new media, whether it's old media, whatever the case may be, is they just want to be in camera. They want to be in front of the camera. They want to look good. They want to get the accolades. They want to get the shine from that. Yeah. But there's an actual grind to this. And I remember you being in Huntsville and all the things that you had to do, the amount of hours that you had to work. So I wanted you to talk about the people see like the segments, people see the pictures like on the field and all that stuff, but there's an actual grind to sports reporting. So can you elaborate on that and just tell us about how that process is, how many hours a day you might have to work, because it's not just what you're doing in front of cameras. It's mostly a lot of work that's done off of camera, right?
Yeah. So a perfect example I think I can give you is like during football season, there was 2 people in my sports department. So it was me and my boss, and he would work Monday through Friday. I would have Monday, Tuesdays off and then work because I was the weekend anchor. But a lot of times, like on the weekend, I'd be solo. So I was going to, during season, Alabama and Auburn football games. So Alabama was about 2 hours away. Auburn was like 3.5 hours away, maybe like 3, but it was a drive. And a lot of times we would do this in a day. So I probably like wake up at 8 a.m., drive down to Alabama. I have a cart full of equipment. So like the carts you get at Academy, I have a tripod in there, camera in there, lights in there, batteries in there, like it's heavy. Okay. I can lift a little bit, but like you just see me carting around all this equipment. This little boy comes up to me. He like taps me. I was like, hi. And he goes, where's your cameraman? I said, you're looking at him. Like, hey, bestie. Like this is a one-man band. So like that to me was just like so funny. Cause like people just think I just walk on the camera or, I walk in front of the camera and boom, like that's it. And we talk about the game and like we get off. That's like if I make it to ESPN, I'll have a makeup girl and somebody does my hair. But yeah, I shoot the entire game. And, I'd go in at halftime, cut up some good plays, go back out, and then you got to go, set up for post. So, do post, interviewing coach, players, and then you go back and then you go to the field to shoot stand-ups, which if it's hot, like I got to look camera ready. So like I got to fix the face, make sure I look presentable, go outside, set up the light, make sure I'm in frame, do my stand-up, which thankfully everybody in Huntsville that was also a one-man band, we'd help each other out. So it's not like news where it's everybody knows the final score. Like it's not as competitive. So like we're all friends and we help each other out. So that's super helpful and super thankful for the people that I worked alongside. And then you go back, edit the package. You got to make sure you have it in before, like you have a hard deadline because you got to make it in for the shows. So sometimes there was one time that it was like literally the break and the producer's calling me like, where's your stuff? Where's your stuff? I'm like, trust me. Like I've never missed deadline. Today's not going to be the first day. Just like leave me alone or else you're going to make me miss deadline. But so it's like after all of that, like you're just on it. Like it's probably how y'all felt like after a game. Like I'm just riding this adrenaline high. Like I'm like, okay, like let's go. I barely have time to eat. I was like, like it's just, you're just on go. And then finally when you're driving back, you're like, I can breathe. But I feel like that's why I love it. It's like, it's addicting. Like I just love, just being able to cover that, like finding the stories within the story. Like everybody knows the game, but like with so-and-so's like dad here for the first time or like a family member they haven't seen in a while. Like you just find those stories that you can really highlight. And that's what I love about it, because not everybody's a sports fan, but at the end of the day, people love hearing good stories about people. And I feel like that's what I love to share. So there definitely, there's definitely long days. There's been days covering stuff that, and that's the thing too, is like, I used to get annoyed if my boss would send me to a high school an hour away. And I'm like, I don't want to spend my Friday night covering. But then it's just like, I would get there and see how happy the kids would be that they would be getting coverage, and my perspective would change. Because I'm like, I'm out here being annoyed because of the travel time or like covering a high school, but this kid might not make it past the high school level at sports. And now he's thankful that he's going to be on TV. So it was just like little things like that, like would bring perspective to the situation. And I think that's like something that I've carried on with me to Atlanta. You're not going to love every assignment, but there's a purpose behind it.
It was kind of funny when you were talking about the story of when the kid came up to you. I thought you were going to say little bro was going to get behind the camera.
Oh, trust me, that like there was one time in Atlanta I had to this sent me because I used to always make fun of the sports reporters that had to cover weather, because I was like, that sucks, like that'll never be me. Atlanta got snow right before my birthday, and guess who they sent? Me. I said karma is a you-know-what, because I used to make fun of people, and here I am. I couldn't find my damn gloves, so I'm freezing, I'm pissed, I'm annoyed, out in the elements. And these people, these grown men started, and you could just tell, like Jordan knows, once you like annoy me, don't cross me, because I will give it right back. These grown men started throwing snowballs, and I literally look and I said, do not hit me. I was like, today is not the day to piss me off. I was like, I swear if you hit me, I said, I'll act a fool on camera. So he literally looked at me, he goes like, we're not going to touch you. I was like, because people will see a camera. This one man was like plugging his mixtape. I was like, sir, nobody cares.
Hey,
like
free marketing.
I get it, but I was like, read the room. Okay. I'm annoyed. I don't want to be here.
Right.
But yeah. Sometimes that'll happen. People, that's the biggest thing I'm nervous about sometimes when I'm going live. What's happening behind me? Because I'm just focused on what I gotta say. But there's things that you won't be able to control and you gotta roll with it. But yeah, people act a fool as soon as they see a camera or a mic flag that says where you're working. So
yeah, I feel you, man. Not this dope.
Absolutely.
So I guess kind of like
Yeah,
where I'm
man.
at with it is like that's funny. I'm sorry. My mixtape is crazy.
I don't know why they did that. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know what he thought was gonna happen. Where was you gonna plug it in at? Like, what's gonna be my thing?
wait, Jordan, I think you're
Like,
frozen.
I am,
Oh,
but it's just gonna keep rolling.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you good. It'll come back on. Yeah. But no, what I was gonna get at though with is the kind of like the new media versus old media or linear TV, right? And so you kind of do both, right? And obviously there's some differences in that space. You know, there's a lot of people that have gained a massive following and big income from new media where they're able to give their opinions, even if they're an amateur, right? So I
Right.
wanted you to speak about like your general thoughts on the new media wave, and then what are the differences in how you go about doing a podcast versus linear TV where it's live.
I think I have a love-hate relationship with new media because it gives us a platform, obviously, right? Like everybody has a platform, but that's like anybody can be verified now. So like in terms of getting news, I feel like it's so much harder to trust. Like you can't just believe what you see on the internet. You know, like if I see a tweet and I'm like, it's like breaking news, I automatically look at the source because I'm like, who is this coming from? Because if this is Billy Bob from down the street, even if he has a blue check mark, I'm like, how do I know if this is for real? So I feel like new media sometimes makes it more difficult to weed out misinformation because anybody can put out what they want. So that kind of makes it more challenging in terms of who to trust. And we talk to students about that all the time because you really have to be careful about what you're reposting or even what you're putting out there because everything's so accessible. But I mean, on the flip side of that, it's nice because like you had said, like anybody can make a name for themselves. Like I have friends that they've made a living off TikTok. I have a friend right now that's in Paris with a brand, like on a brand trip with Nike through what she's done on TikTok. So it's like, it's so exciting to see the platforms and what people have done with it. But it's really tricky because you really have to be careful about how you navigate that. And then in terms of like, what I would report for news, it's much more, I feel like old school, but that's why it's kind of dying. Like everybody's having to pivot because there's been so much poured into the digital, like there's a job opening right now at Fox for like a digital content creator because like that's what they need. They need like younger people to come in and be innovative and everything's online now. Like people don't have cable. So I think everything like growing up, like we would always have the news on, but it's like that's changing. Like people don't have the news on in homes necessarily all the time. I mean, my parents still do, but they're older, so like the younger people coming up might not necessarily have cable. So what I do for a sportscast might not be like, you can repurpose it. Like I could repurpose it and make a TikTok about it, but you just have to be creative of like how you're sharing that information.
Yeah. What's crazy is like you even saying that is kind of like I'm having like a nostalgia moment where like I miss watching old Sports Center a little bit, like seeing like Stuart Scott like early in the morning before I go to school and like hearing them talk about the top 10 or like what's going on. Like I do miss that, but I also love the concept of like new media. Like for example, since we're talking about it, is that like I like the fact like some people hate it. I like the fact some of these guys got their own podcasts because it's like your brand now is almost like you have to run it true like a company where it's like your brand is everything. And the way I look at it is you have the right to control your narrative with your brand, even if you agree with them or don't agree with them. But like if he dropped the pass in the game, like Saquon or whatever, when they played and we dropped that in like the end of the game of the fourth quarter, everybody was like eating him alive. I think it was against the Falcons too, where it's like everybody like ate him alive. But then it's like people too, like Jason Kelsey, those guys, former players, they explain the situation on their podcast where it's like you vouch for him a little bit because not every average Joe Blow is just understanding what goes on in a football game or how it moves. So that narrative control, I agree with. But at the same time, though, I feel that it means something to see guys like Stuart Scott or Scott Van Pelt. Scott, shout out to those guys, RIP Stuart Scott. But like,
right,
you miss that where like, how can you find that balance in between those two? Is there even a balance between those two?
well, because that's the thing is like, like in where I'm coming up, like the Laura Rutledge, the Holly like they're not going anywhere. So it's like wherever they are, they'll still, because they've made a name for themselves. I think there's still a market for that. I don't see them getting put out. But in terms of like new people coming up, I think that's the challenge of like, how do you stand out amongst the crowd? And I feel like that's the brilliance of like social media, is like you start to create that platform and build that brand, and then you have something to bring to the table. But I think it's all about how do you take something and run with it, and how do you be innovative, and how do you, but that's why it's like, you don't, like, I tell people all the time, especially like young women, don't get caught up in like how to stand out. Just be yourself, because there's only one you out there. So as long as you're true to yourself and you're dedicated to what you do and you're working hard, like the progress will show. So
intent is everything. The intent, like that.
And just like there's also like a level of journalistic integrity that you have to hold as well. And we talk about it all the time, like, not sacrificing our morals and our values and our foundational pieces on this podcast to go viral. I think a lot of people kind of do that, and I understand that there's an appetite for that to do that, but that's not our brand, one, and that's not the brand that we have on our individual platforms as well. But for you, again, we know, particularly in media, perception is reality. Like, that's what it is, sadly, but that's kind of what we also signed up for as well. So when it comes to journalistic integrity and ensuring that you don't undermine, your own morals and values, but also kind of pushing things forward and trying to find things that's innovative or a little bit uncomfortable for you to do to get to some sort of status or to get some type of sort of accolade for you. How do you go about kind of balancing that high level of integrity that you have for yourself and for your space? And on top of that, just how do you go about doing it in a fair way while it's also very entertaining? Because it is kind of a juggle and a balance, because people have that, again, it's a numbers game in media, and people have that appetite to have something that stands out. But how do you kind of juggle that integrity, but also pushing it forward to where people are wanting to consume your content?
I really think it boils down to being authentic, because authenticity sells. So like the more you are yourself, the more people are going to want to tap into it. So I feel like that's what I've been really trying to navigate, is because sometimes people say that I have a news voice. Like I have coworkers of mine that are on me. They're like, yo, like cut the news voice, like just talk. But it's like, I feel like as a woman, like I want to be taken serious. So I almost feel like I have to, like if I'm in a studio, like I'm going to sound different than if I'm just relaxed talking. But I'm trying to blend that, because like you said, like nobody's gonna want to like watch somebody that's like uptight or like really like, or like robotic. Like they want to see somebody that they can relate to, and somebody that is breaking it down to them in a way. Like DJ Shockley does a great job of that. He's my boss, and he's just been so great to learn from, because he's a former player, so he has insight that I don't. But just the way he breaks it down is like easy for anybody to understand. So I feel like that's what it really boils down to, is just being yourself and being inviting to others wanting to know more. And eventually, like if you don't get, because the second I stopped caring about likes on Twitter, or like I was just putting out content, the more you do it, that'll come. So I tell people all the time, like when you start out, like I probably got 1 like or something, and it might be my mom, but the more you do it, like, and the more stories you tell, like people are going to be drawn to that. And I tell people all the time, like if you're in this business to get famous, get out, because that might come, like that the name might follow, but I'm in this business. Like my why has always been telling athlete stories that humanizes them and makes them more relatable for other people. So that has always been my why. And I love storytelling. So that's what drew me to this business. And that's what keeps me pushing through the long days. As long as, that is my focus, I feel like the awards will come, the the accolades will be there. And I love those moments, but I'm not fixated on it, because if you're fixated on like benchmarks, I feel like you'll kind of lose yourself in that, because it's not all about the awards. It's about the people. So,
Since you love the storytell and break things down, I need you to break down some about these Atlanta Falcons, because I can't lie to you. Like I got friends in the I got friends down there.
Let's talk about it.
I saw a fight in that stadium almost every week.
Oh yeah. No, I told friends of mine, I go, because I didn't grow up a Falcons fan. I honestly didn't really grow up. I guess the Chiefs, but I didn't really care.
Right.
Like the Chiefs are the closest to Nebraska. Okay, whatever.
I respect that.
I grew up a college football.
I don't.
Okay, whatever. We're gonna move past that. But yeah, I didn't care about the Falcons. I really did not know much about the Falcons, if I'm being real. Like I had to immerse myself once I came here and took this job to just know the history of the Falcons. And I remember some of my friends telling me, they were like, oh, maybe I'll care again since you're working for them. And I was like, dang, like what did the Falcons do to you? After 2 seasons, I kind of understand, because it's like you'll have so much hope going into the season. On paper, it'll look amazing. You'll have all the pieces to the puzzle, and then the season begins and you're on a roller coaster, and then the ride stops and you just get off and you're just kind of like, okay, like, do I get back in line and wait and like go again? Or like, when does it get, I don't know. So it's just been, but it's been a blessing too, because aside from what happens on the field, you start to develop relationships and just see who they are off the field. And it's just so, like, Bijan Robinson is getting into acting. So it's just, I don't know. There's just so many things like about.
He has that personality though, so I can see that.
Right. And like he's learning from Matthew McConaughey, because, you know, like the Texas Bond, but it's like, that's so cool. So it's like, you see these little like hidden gems of like Ray McLeod is really into fashion. And, you know, like there's just little things that you find out about these people that make them, it humanizes them. And I think that's what I love about it too, is covering this team and having the privilege of being their partner with Fox 5, you get to do more sit downs with them and find out who they are outside of the Dirty Birds, off the field and just in the everyday. And that's what brings people that might be upset with how they're performing on the field. Sometimes they might respect them, like, yo, like, I like you as an individual. Like, I like you as a person. So we're going to get through the hard times and we're going to be there with you when you finally make the playoffs and make a run.
Yeah. Because some fans look like they're in hell right now. They be fighting each other.
No, I will say Falcons Twitter shouldn't be
crazy.
Falcons Twitter is hilarious. Like I literally, I don't know. The videos that I see, they're like, I'm gonna set the bins on fire.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
It's that I feel the pain. Like I feel it. Like they're hurting out here.
Hey, they go.
There's a viral video of I don't know if you've seen it, Georgia. You probably have seen it, of the guy I think there's like a parking garage, like right across the street.
And he's like,
and it's this guy that's trying to jump over it. Yeah.
No, literally, like every time he's like, I might, I think of that every time. He's like, it's time. It's time.
But there's some promise though. There's some promise there. I just wanted to talk to you about again, we probably
Jared, why are you looking like that? We gotta unpack that. There's promise. I like what I saw from Michael Penix. Michael Penix.
Yeah. Talk to us about that.
Shout out to Michael Penix, man.
No, literally. I think
I love Michael Penix.
I love Michael Penix and what he did. Like, okay, his stat record might be the best, not be the best, but it's like, I feel like he played a great game against the Commanders on Sunday Night Football's big stage. Even though they did not come away with the win, he showcased that he's got what it takes to play on a big stage. And he came in when there was still their playoffs were still alive when he took over the reins of the offense. So I feel like he came into a position where there was a lot of pressure on him. And even the teammates said he never acted like a rookie. Like he came in, and I think it helped learning from Kirk throughout the season. Like Kirk was very hands-on. And even when he was benched, like he took reps in practice, like he was on the scouting team. And it's just like most vets would be like, I'm good on it. Like they gave him the opportunity to not. And he was like, I'm still fully invested in this process. He helped Penix out in whatever way that, in whatever way he needed. So I just feel like even though it didn't shake out necessarily how they wanted to, everybody was still a team player at the end of the day. And you see a lot of promise from Penix. Bijan's great. I don't know about Pitts. I don't know if he'll be returning. People have opinions about him. I'm going to leave that to them. Drake London. I mean, in the last game, Drake London and Bijan had career high performances. So it's just like you have a lot of promise on offense. I think you just got to really help the pass rush out. And, they got a new defensive coordinator. So again, like they're putting the pieces of the puzzle, like the pieces of the puzzle are there. They just got to like put it together.
Right. Yeah. All right, so I feel you. I'm listening.
He's not sold, but he hears me.
I am, because like I rock with Michael Penix. Like I have for a while. This is like when he was at Indiana, Michael Penix. Like he always showed promise, battled with the injuries, and then like him at Washington, able to show that out, really like meant something to me. So like it's good to see it going, but it's funny when you said the stat line doesn't show it too. We're like, this is where you got to understand we're not even knowing football, but watching the games. We're like, a lot of the picks he threw was hitting guys in the chest. They just weren't catching it. So it's just like, for me, I really think that he fits that mold that's perfect for Atlanta. Like Kirk taught him how to be a pro, and those guys needed a veteran guy in that locker room. But I don't think that mold is really like for Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is just a team guy. So hearing like how his process going into that is really big. Now, I'm not going to speak on Kyle Pitts' situation because free agency is already a headache and a half, so I feel him on that.
Right.
But I think with him is, what do you see from your point of view? What was that disconnect with him, like in the offense, where like it'd be sometimes that he shows really life, where be like, okay, he's the next big thing, but then it's like he has those games where like he's super, super quiet, and you can tell he's trying to find his way.
Yeah. And I honestly don't have the answer to that question, because like you said, you would see bursts of, because like coming out of Florida, like he was, everybody was like, Kyle Pitts is the answer. And it's kind of like some people are like kind of questioning, like, was this a bad pick? Like, does he just not really fit the system for the Falcons? But it's like, you'll see those moments that it's like when it's on, like, it's great. Like, but in the same way, it's just like he hasn't produced like he necessarily was expected to produce. So, but it's also like, and they brought up a good point. Like Penix hadn't worked with the ones, like it was Kirk. So it's just like when he took over, he was really still building that chemistry with Drake, Bijan, Kyle. So it's just like, who's to say like that won't change next year, because they'll have all off season to work on that. So I feel like that's something like, they're still trying to navigate, and, who knows what's going to happen in free agency. But I do know some fans where it's really funny, because I want to say, I think it was the Commanders game. It was the Kyle Pitts touchdown. And a fan literally, like our photog was like, he catches everything. This fan had literally taken off his Kyle Pitts jersey. Like he was fed up. He literally took it off. And literally after he scored, like he was like, and you literally just see him like putting back the Kyle Pitts jersey on. Like he was like, yes. But I was like, I feel like that's the epitome of like, he probably had a parlay. But it was like, that's the epitome, I feel like, of like Falcons fans. Like when it's just like, when they're good, they're good. But that's sports in general. So it's like, you're so quick to hate. But it's like, as soon as they start performing well, you're like, oh yeah, like that's my guy. That's my guy. It's like, you gotta support him through the ups and downs, and then figuring it out.
That's real.
That is real, man. That is real. But like you said, there's a lot of promise there. I think, again, it'll be year 2 under Raheem, a full year of Penix, and obviously y'all be able to address some of the holes that y'all have. Again, I've always told you about like y'all defensive line. I think y'all kind of ramped that up, but the draft is coming up, and so I think y'all address that. But I want to get this back to you, because we're culminating to like the peak of who you, or just maybe the highest accolade that you have had, and we brought it up, bro. Yo, dog, you won an Emmy, bro. Like that's crazy, bro. Like
she's so chill about it, though. She's so chill. Like,
chill about it.
Chill. Like,
I don't know, because I don't want people to judge me off, like Jordan knows me. Like I'm goofy.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just like, that's me. So it's like, yes, I've won an Emmy and I'm so honored, but it's like, that isn't who I am. Like that is something that I've accomplished. And I was so like, I was at a wedding when I found out. Like, I wasn't expecting to win one. So I think that made it so much better. It's like I wasn't expecting it. So it's like I feel like stuff like that comes when you're not looking for it. So
No, for real.
but yeah, I have it in my living room.
How
Like,
did you
people come
feel?
over and they like look at it. They're like, "Is that an Emmy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Can I touch it?" I'm like, "Sure." Grab it.
Can I
Hold it.
touch it?
Can I touch it?
I'm like, it's not like
Can I
a
touch it?
bomb. Like, it's not gonna go off. They're like, "Can I?" I was like, "Sure, you can hold it if you want." People will like hold it and they're just like,
That's funny, but I want to like. There is I know you're a person that again. We kind of again have a lot of similarities in the sense that like once we accomplish things, we kind of like on to the next big thing, right? And it's really hard for us to kind of be in the moment and enjoy that. But once you like physically saw that, right? Was it? I imagine it was a surreal moment, but did you have like that moment of like, dang, certain things are starting to all make sense for me, or some of the trials and tribulations, or when I didn't necessarily feel like this was gonna work out? I know there was a lot of times during those breaks, with you being seasonal, like I don't know if I'm gonna have this job, or I don't know if when this job offer is coming. And then to have such a prestigious award like that you are now physically and tangibly have, like
yeah.
did you have that moment of like, dang, it all makes sense of all the hard work that I put in?
I think so. When I got a notification on my phone, like, you have a package, and sometimes my mom will like send me stuff. So I was like, oh, sure, I'll probably just like send me like a care package or something. So I remember opening it. It was
Mhm.
like this gold box. Actually, yeah, I still like have it like down here, but it's like this gold box. I'm like, did she send me some fancy fruit or something? Like, I was like, what is in this? Like, literally no idea what it is. Like, it had nothing, like no like Emmys, like it had nothing on it. And so I just open this gold box and the Emmy is just staring at me. And I just remember, like, I was by myself. It was probably like a random Saturday. I stood in silence for like 5 minutes, just like looking at it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like,
That's surreal.
this is
That's
my Emmy. And I remember like holding it up and I'm like, I saw my name and I was like, wow, like, I won a fucking Emmy.
Did
And
you cry?
I was, she was too stunned to speak. Like, I literally just like stared at it for like 5 minutes. But I think in that moment, like you said, Jordan, like, I have been like, I took a risk coming here. I left a full-time job to take a seasonal job, but sometimes you just got to bet on yourself. So I think in that moment of like holding it, I was like, you're where you're meant to be. And I think like that was like a
Mhm.
good milestone of, you're where you're meant to be, you're doing well, keep going. And I recently had another moment like that. I told you, because Jordan was mad at me. He's like, you
Yeah.
haven't told me something. And I was like, well,
Yeah,
what
some
if I'm
breaking
saving it for
news.
the pod? So I remember, and this is how God works in funny ways. I may or may not have been going to the requested DMs to see if a man had messaged me. He didn't, but somebody else did. That's so messy of me. That is so messy of me.
That's very
But
messy.
so
Hey, he
I
gonna see this
literally,
right now.
I know, yeah, shout out if you're watching. I don't like you. But I had like went looking for something else and I saw a requested message from Jezebel magazine, which is a magazine in Atlanta. And I remember, and so I would honestly shout out, because I wouldn't have even seen it if I wouldn't have gone looking for something else. So this is God saying, this isn't your season for that, but this is your season for your career. And so I remember clicking on it and it was like, congratulations, you've been nominated for our 40 under 40. And I was like, what? And they were like,
Wow.
we'll be in touch, like, if you're nominated for real. And I was like,
Woo!
okay. So I remember the whole weekend I'm
That's
just like, okay, like what do I do with this? And literally got an email and it was like, congratulations, you are one of our 40 under 40 nominees for, or honorees for this year. And I was like,
Woo!
but it was like
that's
one of those,
dope. That's
it,
that's
it
crazy.
was one of those like, and like, I feel like I had imposter syndrome though, because I was looking at like all of the
Mm.
nominees from
Right.
last year and looking at their following, like influencers. And so there was a moment that I was like, why me? But then it's like I had to shift my
Mm.
mindset and I'm like, why not me? You know, like I've won an Emmy, like I'm doing well here. But it's like I think like I resort back to, I'm still not full time. I'm still figuring it out. I still, there's a lot for me to still accomplish. But it's like this was like an aha moment of like, other people are recognizing how far you've come. You need to appreciate the journey, but also like appreciate like where you're at now. Like, yes, it's good to be forward thinking, but like, let's enjoy where you're at. So yeah, it officially comes out this Wednesday. So yeah, like maybe we'll keep the pod hush hush until it, but I'm sure the editing process takes a while. So I can tell them, but yeah, so I am super excited about that and was not excited. Again, that was unexpected. So I feel like stuff like when you're not fixated on it, it'll come as long as you're working hard and doing what you need to do. So
that's awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations.
You.
But like it's so crazy. Me and Jordan was just talking about something similar where you were like saying you were kind of looking at the other honorees and like their following and whatever. Something that I've even noticed working in social media for a few years now, that like just because you have a big following doesn't mean you have a big influence. And like when you're in a situation like you are, that like people are paying attention to you, people respect you, that even that you may not have 100,000 followers yet like them, you are influencing so many people to want to be better. When you go speak to young girls that are trying to build a career and things like that, they take that because even like with all you're saying, like you not being full time, you going from Huntsville, Alabama to back to Atlanta, or like you're doing the damn thing, and people see the grind and the effort in that. And I think that's really what it's really, like you said, it's all about. But that's where I feel like I try to talk to a lot of people too, where like, yeah, that person can have 100,000 followers, but why are they looking? Why are they paying attention to them? What are they doing that's really impacting people? Because it does matter to where like I have to talk to my little brother about that all the time, where like he's 14, he's still trying to figure it out, but like he'll be talking about like this guy, that girl, or whatever. But I'm like, are they impacting you or are you glazing them, so to say? It's like there's a difference in that or whatever. Like, and that's a crazy word to say, but like it's just real because it's like that's what's important. So don't feel like an imposter. That's all I want to say. Like,
go dogs. Like, that deserves a go dogs. Go dogs. We love to hear it. Go dogs.
You know what? Just because you did it, go dogs.
Go dogs. Come on, Jordan.
Go dogs.
I'm not gonna bark. It's not all Jordan fans bark.
Yeah, please don't, man. But this has been awesome, man. We want to congratulate you. That is such an awesome accomplishment. I think it's a little bit different when you know the person. But it's just to be expected for me, because I know you do a lot of awesome things that you'll be recognized by other people. But you are now, we actually have a little segment called the Jordan's Flower segment where I give out my flowers to our guests. So we want to give you your flowers. I think that's really, really important to do that while people are here. But I think we don't recognize people that their hard work while they're doing it. And one of the things that me and Jared talk about all the time is like, people need that support on the ascension, not necessarily when they are there. Like the support is always needed, right? But they need it much more while they're climbing, more so than when they make it, to get those claps and to let them know, like you are doing, like he said, doing the damn thing. So you have, it's been really, man, like I've watched you grow since we met. It's funny how our story of how we met our freshman year of high school, and she recognized my case on the back of my phone and had all the Jordans on it. And to see what we were like, 10 plus years later and where we are in terms of our friendship, I've recognized not only your growth in this space, but also as a person. I think those two have kind of culminated together. Like they have literally risen as you have grown as an individual. And I know obviously you have your things and your doubts, like we all do. But I'm really, really proud of everything that you've accomplished and all the other things that people don't notice about you or don't know, your personality or what the things that you're battling off camera. And you seem to show up every day. So we want to let you know that we appreciate you over here. And also too, we had some breaking news for ourselves. We are working with you to have you on a lot more on some part-time contributing for our sports. So you'll see her a lot more. Yeah, bro. We're gonna have her in a 360 by the time we done, man. A 360 deal is coming her way. But yeah, our audience will be able to see you a lot more. I think your personality is very, very fitting for this. But as we wrap this up, we like to ask our guests, because we do have a young audience, 35 to 32. That's kind of our niche audience.
25 to 30.
Not necessarily just about.
Yeah, I was like 30.
35. But it's like 25 to 30, like 25 to 30, 25 to 35, 25 to 35, about 25 to 35. My fault. But yeah, so we want to leave them with something to take away from this, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about career-wise. If you want to make it career-wise, you can. But what is one piece of advice that you would give to somebody as saying, "This is how I went about doing it, and these are the things that I've learned over the course of years." That if I had to sum it up in a couple sentences, I would give this to somebody if they ask, "How do I get to where you are today?"
I would say what comes to mind is always bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself. Even when you have doubters, people telling you no, the no's are going to lead you to your yes. So as long as you feel like you're passionate about it, you love it, you're willing to do what it takes to get you there, bet on yourself and it'll pay off.
That's real.
That is real. That is real, man.
Hey,
and that's very well said.
Go Dogs.
Man,
Go
dropping
Dogs.
knowledge. Oh my God.
You got one out of me. I ain't doing it again.
He said,
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
I'll take the one. I'll take the
Yeah,
one.
we-
I'm happy.
Before we get off, though, I need you to do something for me. Explain your fandom. Because no, I need to do this for you Omaha Mud lovers. This dude is an Oklahoma State fan, a Jets fan.
He's all over
Cardinals
the
fan.
place.
Like,
I know.
it's doing too much. Like, I don't even want to get into baseball with him. He gonna piss me off with that. He's the Cardinals fan. I'm making him one. So I need you explain your fandom. Like, who do you rock with? Like, are you all over the place like that? It's like,
no, I'm actually very simple. So Georgia Bulldogs. I would say now my team. See, my thing is like I wouldn't call myself a Falcons fan, but I want them to do well because if they do well, my job is fun.
as well. Oh,
So
yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say
Yeah.
a fan, but go Falcons. And
Right.
Braves. So like I feel like I'm a Georgia girl.
All right, let's go.
And
man,
we're
we
done.
can pack
And
this up, man.
no, but I don't know. I just
Yeah, man,
well
we
also
can pack this
too
up.
like I guess growing up like the Royals when I was in Omaha.
Ew.
You know I'm from St. Louis,
Yeah,
right?
he's from St. Louis, so the
well,
Cardinals.
You break my
never-
heart.
I've never been to a Cardinals game, so take me to one and maybe my
Bring
mind
him.
will change.
Come on.
Oh, you don't want to. You don't want to go to
Come
one right
on.
now.
Come on.
It is.
Well, yeah, we're gonna.
terrible.
Okay, listen, I'm cold. I'm cold here in Atlanta, so I don't want to imagine what it's like in the north. Well,
It's getting warmer, but it's funny how we Midwest people were like, as soon as they hit like over 25, we all be like, it's warm as hell outside.
no,
It's
I
kinda
remember
summer,
like
yeah.
when it would hit 50, like in Nebraska after the winter, it hit 50. I'd be in Nike shorts, the top
Oh,
would be off the
God.
Jeep. I'm like, let's take a ride. Now
Yeah.
it gets I'm like, ooh, it's cold. I was like,
Yeah.
so the South is changing me because I have no tolerance for the
Oh
cold
my God.
at
Y'all was
all.
acting funny when that snow hit the ground.
No, people are acting fool.
Very.
Atlanta
That was-
don't need snow because people were Atlanta don't need snow.
Yeah, y'all was wilding
That's all
over
I'm
there,
gonna
dog.
say.
I tell you
Listen, the
something.
videos that I
Music
saw, I was
videos.
like, yeah, like y'all get inside, okay? Like people like sledding on mattresses. Like, come on, like just be better. Stand up, Atlanta. Stand up.
But shout out to the A though, man. I love
Well,
it.
Shout out to
I need
the
get
A.
down. I need to get down.
Yeah,
there.
I do. Hey,
It's
we
on
gotta
down.
take a trip down there, Jared. We gotta take a trip down there, man. Do
Yes,
some
in the summer.
content
Yes.
down there.
I'm down.
Yeah,
It'll be
definitely
fun.
got to make that happen. But we are very, very
Love it.
thankful to have you on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Again,
This is so
a
fun.
dear friend of mine, of course. And again, our audience will
She's
see a
on
lot
now.
more of you.
You're
Yes,
not going
and then now
anywhere.
you in the 360
Yes.
deals. But shout out to you, man. Again, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Going with the Flow. We had a Paulie's legend, you know, in the building. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. But if you know in Athens
what
what Paulie's
legend?
is, that's a
If you know, you
Paulie's
know.
legend. So that's a comment. That's if you know, you know, bro. That's if
All right,
you know,
yeah,
you
I'm
know.
about
We
to go
gonna
to Athens.
end.
I need to see what's up.
When you come visit,
Thank
we'll
you for
go.
tuning in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gonna make it happen.
Even
We
know
gonna
what
make
the
it happen.
problem is, it's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, now hold your breath and face your death.